the Pillar of Pompeii, which just happens to be on the site of the Serapeum in Alexandria. See the pillar in the distance there now? And you think, oh, that's just a good-looking pillar. Until you see it with people next to it. And you realize that this is a monster pillar. So what's so special about this pillar? Obviously the size, as I've just mentioned, but it is also one piece of stone. Hence it's referred to as a megalith. If that is not enough, the stone is actually rose granite, which is rated at 7 on the Mohs scale of rock hardness, with diamond being at the top and marble being about 3 and alabaster being like 1.5 to 2. So this stone is hard, really, really hard. It would not be easy to cut, but this pillar is not only cut, but it's also shaped perfectly. And just to make this task even more impossible, is where this megalith came from. Its source was a quarry in Aswan, which is 820 kilometers away as the crow flies, but a lot further if it's transported along the winding Nile. The weight is estimated at over 280 tons, and the challenge of transporting it would have been immense. I visited that same quarry earlier this year, before I actually went to see it in Alexandria, and I was really surprised to see that the route from the quarry to the Nile was not even very easy either. There was quite a hill in front, so not only did they have to get it from the Nile all the way up, but they had to get it up and over a hill before it even reached the Nile. So that, in my opinion, is a very big challenge. As for the tools, well, the Egyptologists, they had on display some pounding boulders for working on the stone. And of course, copper chisels were always mentioned too. It actually strains the mind just to imagine it, because it's just so ridiculous. So, it's rated as one of the largest monoliths in the world, and it is certainly the largest monolithic column. It is from one of the hardest stone. It's shaped perfectly, maintained in one piece, and transported long distance. If it could have easily been moved, it would already have been stolen already by one of the, let's say, more modern countries. Pompeii's pillar, or the Pillar of Pompeii, actually had absolutely nothing to do with Pompeii. It accidentally got linked to Pompeii through some kind of mistranslation. The accepted history is that it was a triumphal pillar for the Emperor Diocletian in about 300 AD. It had a statue on top of it of the emperor in full armor and posing triumphantly, as you would expect. A tile was actually found that's believed to show the statue in situ on the pillar. So this is actually the tile itself that I'm showing you now. Now, I don't doubt that the pillar was in fact used for that purpose, but the Romans were kind of notorious for reusing items that they found, and this pillar is more consistent with the prehistoric or early technological achievements found and dated in ancient Egypt. If the Romans actually had the skill to create pillars of this size in one piece, rather than as stacked drums of stone blocks, then I'm pretty sure they would have done more of that sort of thing. When it had its statue on it, it would have been well over 100 feet, but as it now stands, it's probably closer to 88 feet, or maybe just under 27 meters. It was erected on the site of the Serapeum of Alexandria, as I said at the start, and that site is dedicated to Serapis. Anyway, Serapis is supposed to be a city guardian god, and so it's interesting how Diocletian chose to take on that same title, but without the God bit. So he wanted to be called a city guardian. His statue was in bits by the 18th century, and it was found, scattered around on the floor. And where it is now, no one knows. It has since disappeared, and it's probably gone into the collection of, into private collections around the world. But that's just a guess. I believe that it was transported to Alexandria at the time of the building of the Serapeum as a statement to note the importance of the place, but I think it was much, much older than when it was put in place for the Serapeum. I think that the dynastic Egyptians first reused it, and I think that it was later reused again by the Romans, and they used it as the location in which to place their statue under, so they could make their statue be seen from quite a long way away. It really stood out. I base my opinion on my weird dreams that I have about ancient places and ancient technology. But the pillar, it was perfect. And as you can see, it was utterly gigantic. And it was just such an impressive item. I just couldn't stop staring at it. It was just amazing. And when you think that there would have been quite a few of those pillars, it really does blow the mind. I don't think for 1 minute that the Romans actually created those pillars. Honestly, I think that they are far older than the Romans, and the Romans just reused them. But it really was absolutely perfect in every way, and a stunning piece of work. But the site in general, it was interesting, and I did like the sphinxes. They were very cute. But, oh yes, there's a strange little area. You look inside the base of the pillar. Yeah, that was it. But, so I just wandered around and had a good look at all the various ruins. And, of course, I kept looking back at the pillar, stunned. Wow, what a pillar. That's really a pillar of the community, huh? Okay, not a good joke, but best I can do. But lots of interesting, really interesting kind of weird bits and pieces. So, just wandered around, had a look, and this is the sort of thing that I kept finding as I was wandering around. Nice looking scarab. Another one of those remade pillars. And then, of course, that beautiful pillar in the background. So I ended my little tour in the cafe, which was really nice, and had an orange juice.